Have you ever been told that your blood pressure is too high and the only option is a prescription? What if there are some hidden triggers that's driving that blood pressure that your doctor never told you about and you were never given any options? Today I'm going to share my story of looking and being very honest about my blood pressure and working with it over 90 days and finding 3 hidden triggers no doctor ever told me about. Well, before we jump into the hidden triggers, let's look at the obvious things that impact blood pressure. If you're eating processed food, the average American diet, that's a problem. I wasn't doing that. I almost never eat out, and both my husband and I are great cooks. We love to cook good food. We eat good food, so that wasn't an issue. And obesity. I'm within a healthy weight as indicated by my DEXA scan, so weight wasn't an issue. Might be yours, but that wasn't my issue. And then sedentary. I was sedentary a little bit around 2020, as we all were. And some people didn't change that, but I did. I exercise 5 times a week. I do kettlebells. I do Indian clubs. I walk a couple of miles a day. That's pretty good in my 70s, so I'm doing pretty well in that area. Stress. Well, I am an naturopath. I do a lot with video and education and online education and writing. So there's some stress, but I thought I was handling that pretty well. So I didn't think that would necessarily be a big issue. Alcohol, I don't drink, never have. So those weren't my issues. But then I had something happen that was a slap in the face. I went in for some dental work last spring. It was nothing major. And they did my blood pressure and they said, 158, that's pretty high. And I said, well, that's just because I'm looking at you and I don't like to be at the dentist. I don't like to be at the doctor. At home, it's just fine. So they went ahead and did theirs, and I actually had a check in my spirit. It was like God was saying, well, just exactly when was the last time you checked your blood pressure? And I went, okay, I'll do all my little resets. I'll reset my vagus nerve. I'll get really calm. I'll reset my adrenals. I'll do all the things I know to do, and I'll test my blood pressure, and it'll be just fine. Guess what? It was still 158. And I went, okay, Cheryl, you pride yourself in being integrous. You're not operating in integrity regarding blood pressure. So what I'm going to share is my journey. That doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same for you. I'm not diagnosing or prescribing as a medical doctor. I'm sharing a personal story. But I believe that somewhere in this story, you may find something that could help you, that goes beyond a pill and goes beyond medication.
Sit up a little straighter. Remember to sit up straighter. Your head's coming forward.
Obviously, the foods to avoid, that's the seed oils, it's the processed food, it's glyphosate wheat, it's too much sugar. It's just the junk food, and most of you know those are foods not to eat. As much as possible, organic, your meat being from a good source, chicken, dairy, we prefer A2, but certainly organic. If you're doing fruits and vegetables, get organic as much as possible. In addition to that, good fats. That would be like grass-fed butter. It could be, for some people, coconut oil. It could be ghee. It could be tallow. It could be olive oil. The good fats, not the seed oils. Just get rid of those. That's vegetable oil, canola oil. That's what's used in restaurants simply because it's cheap. That's not good for blood pressure. But again, I wasn't doing that. Now, there are some supplements that can be very helpful for blood pressure, and one of the ones that is very important, not everybody knows about it, it really came to light for us in 2020 when people were dealing with COVID, and that's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide determines how efficiently and effectively oxygen gets all the way up to the brain. And if it doesn't do that easily and efficiently, not only blood pressure, but the risk of heart disease or stroke escalates. Now, online, you can find test strips very easily for nitric oxide. There'll be a little square at the end, one end of the strip, and all you have to do is you can either spit on the strip or you can pool saliva on the tip of your tongue. dip the stick in it, and then the color will be somewhere between white and cherry pink. Cherry pink is what you want. The first time I did this, mine was white, and I thought, I don't have symptoms like Forrest, who was dealing with asthma and breathing issues. His was actually better than mine. Mine was seriously white. Now, I found a product that works for me. It's a product by a company called OHS, called BFF. There'll be information on the supplements down below in the description. And when I take the right amount for me, which happens to be 3, it goes to cherry pink. If I go 2 days without it, it goes to white. So this is very important for me, but I was already doing that for the blood pressure. So it wasn't the hidden piece that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. I simply want all of you to be aware, go test your nitric oxide. Your doctor doesn't do that. That's sad, but you can do it. It's cheap. Get your test strips and then give the BFF a try if you choose. There's another product called OptiNitric. Some people use beets. But find a way to get your nitric oxide levels up so that oxygen can get to the brain. Most classic common symptom is cold feet, cold hands. I used to have that. I don't have that anymore. So nitric oxide. In addition to that, vitamin D. Vitamin D also came out as a big winner during 2020. Now the problem is most people are getting their D made from lanolin, from sheep. And that's not a form that your body can use. You want to get it from a whole food source. And you also want it with K2 so that they can work well together. And the vitamin D K2 combination is so important for so many things. That's a whole nother subject in and of itself. But I was doing that, and I was doing a double dose because I'm also using that to help with bone density. Now, when you get your blood work done, the doctors will say from 50 on is fine. No, it's not. You really need to be 80 to 100, preferably 100. And if you have any genetic issues in using vitamin D, happens to be a genetic SNP VDR, and you're not using vitamin D, you can go as high as 120. And that's people who deal with a lot of anxiety. But just know that 80 to 100, that's what you want to shoot for in your blood work. I have that, so that wasn't my hidden piece yet. In addition to that, being on an omega-3, you want to get your omega-3 and 6s balanced. I prefer a vegetarian one, so there's no chance of dealing with heavy metals. That's in the description. Magnesium, very, very, very important. And the most easily assimilated magnesium is glycinate. One that I like is from Cellcore Trimag. It's 3 different versions of magnesium glycinate, and it's a great product. That's in the description. You might want to check for potassium and electrolytes, and then probiotics. Now, those were all things I was doing, and I still had 158. So I went and got a wrist cuff because I found for me, and this just may be me, I didn't like the arm cuff. I'm still working on this skin here, and even though I work out, we're still working on that. The cuff was just much easier for me. And in the description, this is the one that I use every day because it's just super, super easy. It's sitting right there on the kitchen table because I tested it, my blood pressure, every day for 90 days. And 158 was kind of common. Sometimes it would even go higher. And then I started discovering there's 3 different things that I found changed it. Things your doctor won't talk to you about, I'm sure, unless it's a doctor I would love to meet. These things now allow me to keep my blood pressure right around 120 to 130 over 78 to 82. That's a win. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. What is it I did that made the difference? Well, one of the things that I started learning about was VTT, vibrotactile technology, which is where you take a little patch that looks like a little Band-Aid, and that Band-Aid has a thumbprint, like a QR code. And a QR code simply tells you what website to go to. Well, the little tactile imprint found on this little bandage is like a signal that tells you what brain pathway to put into balance. And when I heard that technology, having been involved in neurology for over 10 years, I had an epiphany. You mean you can take a specific brain pathway and put it into homeostasis balance, as proven by EEG, with double-blind placebo studies, with a p-score of 0.0001, which means the chance of it being a placebo is less than 1,000, the gold standard in the medical community. I thought, well, what if I play with these little patches put out by Super Patch? I thought, what if I play with them and see if I could find some that would work for me? And so I just put them all out there and I just sort of played with them. And the ones that stood out to me, the first one was peace, and that's to put the brain pathway into balance, to balance your sympathetic and parasympathetic so that you can handle stress. And I thought, working with clients, doing what I do in education, yeah, there is some stress. So let's give peace a try. Then the one that actually caught my attention unexpectedly. Now, these are mine. I have other people that are working with blood pressure, and they do some different ones, but we're all doing this one because we all are dealing with stress in this chaotic world that we're living in right now. But the one that kind of caught me off guard was joy. Until I started thinking about, for the last several years, I have felt like all I am is a workhorse, and it's just do, work. Not a lot of joy. And as I started doing this one, I'm going to get right back to the blood pressure. I just want to give you a little caveat. Here's what it did for me. It began to give me curiosity and revive passion to do the things that I love to do, which is to see people get better. This one's just done a lot for me that I never expected it would happen. But also, as I look back on it, having attempted suicide twice because of depression and going into feelings of hopelessness when stress would hit, it was like that probably was a brain pathway for me that was somewhat broken. So that one was important for me. And then for the last probably 9 months, I noticed that I was not so much tired but weary. And I would go test because we have a large inventory in our office. I'd go check all the adrenal products, all the mitochondria, all the ATP, all the minerals. And just nothing was testing well, but I knew I needed some energy. So the third patch that I played with is Boost. Boost your energy, clean energy, no stimulants, because none of these patches have a chemical, there's no ingredients, there's no contraindications with any medication. It's just a signal. It's like a signal on your cell phone, and that signal supports a specific brain pathway and puts it into balance. So I thought, okay, these sound like a match for me. And I decided, let's prove it. Let's see what happens to blood pressure. The first week that I did it, guess what? When I would test in the morning after breakfast, my little friend, it wasn't 150. It wasn't 140. It was below 130, between 120 and 130. And I went, that's so exciting. I have found the grail, the holy grail of blood pressure for me. And then I had a day where it went back up above the number that I wanted. And so I like to ask God what's going on. So I was like, God, what would you like to show me? What in the world is going on now? Well, I'd had some extra stress. And one of the resets that I teach in our easy community that's so simple is one for the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is what bridges the endocrine system with the nervous system. And it can get kind of stressed when you're under stress, and it's inside the brain. So this, I'm going to show you, it's a very simple reset. Now, in the description, there's also going to be a link to a video that shows you some more things you can do with the hypothalamus. But you've got 3 fingers. You're going to put them right here, right in that little divot on your temple, and you're going to bring your palms together, and you're going to press in, and as if you're slightly moving it forward. As soon as I do that, everything relaxed. So that was one of the things I played with. One day it was high. I did my little reset, and oh my goodness, it lowered it back to normal. So I started doing my little reset, made sure I had my patches on before I took my blood pressure. And again, I went quite a while and it was doing well, and then one day it just wasn't. And it was like, well, what's the problem now? What have I overlooked? Our emotions play a big part in the stress that we put our body under. And so what I found for me is, again, as I said, okay, God, what's going on? And he said, well, who are you upset with? Who are you irritated with? Who are you angry about? And I went, oh, well, that's a list. And so I have a little process that I do that I teach our clients on how to do forgiveness. And in the description, there'll be a link to exactly how to do this, but I'll just do a quick demonstration. I immediately thought of somebody that I was just irritated with. So this may sound goofy, but see, your brain, especially your subconscious brain, the brainstem cerebellum, it's listening to your words. And when you say something, it's not logical. It just reacts to what you say. Your logic is all up here. So when I would do this forgiveness process and my brain heard it, it went, oh, okay, I don't have to be upset. It wasn't another patch. It wasn't another reset. It was just letting it go. And in the world that we're in, it's easy to get angry. It's easy to get into offenses and just be irritated. So I just simply did my whole being forgives this person for this. And I do it 3 times, and I do this. Again, I have a video that explains it, explains how it works, gives you the words to say. It's very easy. And I did that with the people I was thinking of, and then I felt like God said, well, what about me? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, are you upset with me with anything? And I said, oh, yeah, I kind of am. So I did my whole being forgives God for allowing, fill in the blank. And I had a couple of those, and those were actually the really big ones for me. Because it's like, God, I don't understand why certain things happen in my life and in the world. So I did that. And then my whole being forgives me that I was being critical and judgmental. So forgiveness and letting go of offenses, accepting people, doesn't mean I like it, doesn't mean I condone it, doesn't mean I agree with it, but I didn't want the stress of the weight of all of that impacting me. And pretty much whenever all the things I'm doing, all my patches, all my nitric oxide, all my hypothalamus, if my blood pressure is up, it's an unforgiveness, it's an offense. So then when I deal with that, go back and test, that's often when it's 120/80. That to me is very exciting. Because how many other areas of your life does that impact? What does it mean when you can operate in peace and joy and energy? What does it mean when oxygen's getting to your brain? What does it mean when your hypothalamus and your brain are working well together? And what does it mean when you don't have to be offended and angry and irritated with all those people around you? It means that you can become a whole person. You can go make a difference, and you just might experience healthy blood pressure for you. In the description, you'll find the details, and always remember that if it's too hard, it's just not easy. And at Lifestyle for Health, we're all about easy.